sometimes it's like you're so codependent, or your identity is so wrapped up in it. You're not sure if you're making decisions for the church, the organization, or decisions for yourself. You're not able to clearly know, even like, should I still be here? Is it time to leave?
Hey, everybody. I'm Holly Tate, joined by Tim Stevens. Hey, Tim.
Glad to be here.
How's your day going?
It's going great.
Good.
We're hoping this episode's not nearly as long as the last one.
Which is ironic because this one's all about the long game.
This is actually called the long game. So this may not be good.
So that's what we're going to unpack in this episode, is all about longevity in ministry. So Tim, you've been in ministry, now we all know this, for 40 years. And you spent half of those in one location, 20 years at Granger. So why do you feel like longevity matters in ministry?
I think specifically in the church context, for sure, the 20 years was in a local church, is you just get to do life with people over a long period of time and just go deep. Like you get to cry with people when they lose a child or a parent, and you get to be there at the highest of the highs. You get to see them, the church, obviously, we're all about kind of life transformation, helping people do better at their marriages and at their parenting and just in life in general. And you get to see those changes over a long period of time and walk with people through it. That just can't be replaced. I mean, it's hard to, if you haven't experienced that. I know some people, for whatever reason, they're at a church for 2 or 3 or 4 years at a time, and then they move on to the next church, and they've never gotten to experience, when you get there and you're really there for a really long time. And get to have the depths of that relationship.
And I think you also get to experience what it's like to be on a real team. Because if you're only in and out for a couple years here and there, and you don't go through hard times together and make it through, and you've had the joy of being on some really amazing teams, that comes with longevity. It's hard to get that otherwise.
Yeah. And the other side of that is, and we're going to talk about this in a later episode, is you can get jaded. If you're at a place for a long time, you can get cynical. I mean, there's kind of two sides of that coin. But I just think it's a beautiful thing to walk with people. And, I can think of different small groups that I was in at Granger, and, you're with them when they're single, then you're with them when they're dating, and then you're with them when they get married, and when they have their first child, and when they get to see the first child baptized. I mean, just all of the stuff that you get to walk through, all of those different phases of life with people in a way that's, I don't know, it's just hard to explain and hard to replace if you haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, well, let me ask this a different way. What's the difference between longevity and like perseverance and it being a good thing, and then staying too long and having potentially a codependent, I know I've had that, a codependent relationship with people or jobs.
Yeah.
How do you know the difference? And that's such a hard thing to...
You look in the rearview mirror, Holly. It's so obvious.
That's what we're doing right now. Tell us everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think there's something about identity, and in the church, in the church world, and religious speak, we talk about having your identity in Christ. It's easy to say, and it's it makes a great title for a workshop or a seminar or a sermon, but it's really hard to live out, of like not letting your identity get wrapped up so much in that organization or that church. I remember at Granger, we used to say, when we were talking about people who were like really they were like, they were just like, man, they were the Granger prototype. And we'd say, when you cut them, they bleed the DNA of Granger.
Yeah.
And so there's something like really cool about that, right? Like they're walking billboards for your values or for your mission, your vision, kind of who you are. And so there's a lot good about that. I think when we work at a church, you can get your identity so wrapped up in it that it just begins to become cloudy. And I think about this like relative to when I was at Granger versus when I was at Willow. At Granger, went there when I'm 27, again, because we were so small and growing so fast. I'd been there 3 or 4 years, and really it was Granger's DNA and mine were one and the same. Like I'd helped fabricate it, and it had helped form me, and never was going to leave. Was going to be there till the day I died, or the day I decided to not work full time anymore. And like I just remember getting a sense, maybe 15 years in, of this like too much codependency where I couldn't see, it just clouded my judgment. Like sometimes it's like you're so codependent or your identity is so wrapped up in it. You're not sure if you're making decisions for the church, the organization, or decisions for yourself. You're not able to clearly know even like, should I still be here? Is it time to leave? Because part of your identity is going to be ripped out when you pull away in an unhealthy way. Versus Willow and even Vanderbloom. And I was able to go in, and I think, by that time I'm 47 instead of 27. And so there's just a sense of maybe just life experience and maturity of like, I'm here to serve and to help, and I'm not going to be here forever. And, when people look back in this 100 years from now, I would have been here for a blip.
Yeah.
And so what am I going to do to contribute while I'm here? And this is going to be my place, and I'm going to be all in, but just knowing that this isn't who I am. This is a place that I get to contribute to.
So hearing you talk about it, especially you said it was about 15 years in where you kind of started to realize at Granger, where you started to realize like, oh man, I can like kind of have a codependent thing going on here. You're talking about it like so objectively. And so like, but I've been through that. Yeah. And like, for me, it was leaving Vanderbloom, and I had personally, it was all on me, like put my identity in my role there. And it took me several years to unravel that and acknowledge that. So did you go through any intentional like process or seek help through trying to separate that so that when you went to Vanderbloom and then to Willow, you didn't repeat that? Or was it just naturally leaving the organization? Does that make sense? There's a
sense of detox is, I don't know if that's the right word, but that's how I think of it. When you've been any place for a season, but the longer you've been there and really the more that your identity's been tied up in that place, I think the detox takes longer. I remember it was probably a year and a half after having left Granger before I kind of bottomed out of like, and where I saw that was I saw it in my heart racing when I would think back to certain times or places or conversations, getting a sense of like bitterness, but a sense of like anger or angst. When
like
I'm thinking,
resentment, maybe?
Resentment's probably a better word. Of things that no one did something to me. It wasn't like it was an abuse situation. It was just like just resentment for. It was an unraveling of my identity from that thing, and then just trying to like make it make sense in your own heart and your own mind. And about a year and a half, like where I felt like it was like the bottom out of that, and then I could start working my way out of it. So 2 years later, 6 months after that year and a half, I felt like, great, I could walk in there tomorrow and it'd be fine. And again, no one did anything to me. There wasn't like there was any like triggering memories from walking through the hallways. It was just a sense of identity. That's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah.
And you felt that as
absolutely.
well.
And I think it's the process of unraveling the because I think for me, some of the resentment or, it is like my own insecurity of feeling like a failure in certain areas, or that I disappointed someone in certain areas, or, let people down in different ways. For me, it took several years of like unpack and like objectively seeing, because you just can't objectively see it when emotions are tied into it, and like letting yourself feel it, then asking yourself why, and just asking those deeper questions to try to unpack it so you don't repeat those same things.
Yeah.
So, okay, so in our ebook for this season, 40 Lessons in 40 Years, number 31 says, think about the long game. Don't burn out trying to win the quarter. Build for the kind of impact that lasts decades. I'm going to say that again, because I feel like I need to read this like 5 times to remind myself of this. Think about the long game. Don't burn out trying to win the quarter. Build for the kind of impact that lasts decades. Sure, Tim. Sounds great. So
easy. All right.
Yeah.
Check.
Teach us how to do that. What have you learned to come to that lesson over the last 40 years?
Part of it is, we typically start our careers in our 20s, or for me a little bit earlier than that. But I think part of it is really age and experience. But like first job, or maybe first job that you actually love. I mean, some people take a first job that they don't love, but you just want to accomplish everything. Like you want to just get it all done, and you have a lot of maybe
energy.
Yeah, a lot of energy, a lot of.
I miss my energy when I had in my 20s.
That was also before you had a baby.
It's true.
But you just want to accomplish everything. Like you have dreams, you have visions, you have You don't think through the pace that it takes just to process decisions and to bring people along with you. And you think if you just stay, especially in church world, if you just stay 2 more hours, but you can convince yourself of that every single day.
Mm-hmm.
If I just work on this Saturday when it's supposed to be my day off, if I just skip my vacation, it's just like I can get this thing done and it's going to mean so much and whatever. And I just think if you want to continue to be effective for the long haul and you don't want to flame out, which we've all seen plenty of our friends or people that we know of who have flamed out and just couldn't do it anymore. And maybe even completely left their faith when they left the church. If you want it to be, you just have to then think long game. So it means it has to be sustainable for you, for your life. We're going to talk more about just balancing ministry and family. You have to build just disciplines and rhythms that are going to keep you healthy and just pace yourself. This is something both you and I know, Jay Mitchell, and he would say this all the time when we were, we'd just be booking these flights and he's like, why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you getting up at 3:30 in the morning to catch he says, it's the long game, kids. It's the long game. and just make it sustainable. And he's been there longer than any other consultant at Vanderbloom. And so he's playing that out.
That's awesome. Such a good reminder for all of us of not to sacrifice the legacy that the impact, the legacy that you can have long term for one quarter or one season. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that lesson, Tim.
Absolutely.
All right. Now we're going to pivot to our fun time of not that the rest of the episode isn't fun. So I don't want to say it like that.
But we're also being presumptive that other people will think these segments are fun.
That's true. We're having fun. We hope you are too. Okay, so we're doing a new segment today, Tim. So walk us through what you're thinking.
This is going to be called Hard to Believe Church Memories with Tim and Holly.
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. I feel like we need some music there.
We're each going to talk about 1 or 2 stories from our childhood, because we both grew up in the church, literally grew up in the church. So something that marks you, something that might be hard to believe, might be like, are you serious? That actually happened? So that's the kind of thing we're going for.
Love it.
So I had time to think about this, so I'll pull one out first. So when I was in junior high and high school, we had a bus ministry at our church, and this was back in the mid to late 70s. And so now if you're a cool church, you have multi-site. Back then you had a bus ministry. If you were like a church on the edge of reaching people, then you loaded up a bus with, we loaded up our bus 60 or 70 of these inner city kids that we would go around and pick up. So every Saturday, that was on Sunday morning, pick the kids up, bring them to church, singing with them all the way, keep them energized, whatever, take them, drop them off for Sunday school, put them back on the bus, sing, pray, drop them off back home. Every Saturday, then we would visit every single home.
Oh, that's cool.
Of every kid that we picked up and just say, hey, love you guys. Hope to see you tomorrow. Don't forget Sundays tomorrow. And one of these homes I went to, they had these 2 like very aggressive, large dogs every time we were there. And they would bark and go crazy, and they would push up against the storm door or the windows or whatever when we got there. They did not want us on their property, but it never's a problem. People would come out, we talked to them, go back in, dog stayed inside. Except this one Saturday, the door was not latched.
Oh no.
These dogs, which I later found out were half wolf, half German Shepherd.
What?
Literally, both of these dogs. And the dog, like we came up, there was 3 of us, and there was a leader, and then a friend of mine, and then I was at the back of the pack walking up the sidewalk, and these dogs saw us coming, and they pushed against the storm door, which was open. And this one dog got out and ran past the leader, ran past my friend, and latched onto the side of my eye.
No.
And just like bit in. And I was terrified and adrenaline. And so I'm yelling, and like it's kind of latched. And so I just kind of swung around, and he kind of swung off and came at me again. And I leapt, I don't know, I must have leapt 10 feet in the air. There's a pickup truck in the driveway. And I just landed in the back of that pickup truck, and the dog ran off. And then they had to put both dogs down, which I felt horrible about.
Man. Well, but also you shouldn't have a half wolf.
I was attacked by a half wolf,
yes,
half German Shepherd doing the cause of Jesus.
Oh my gosh. That's so stressful.
Yeah.
And also I can't
that
top that. That is hard to believe. And like, I feel like we should just stop there.
I had to get shots. So
mine's super boring after that.
My mom could test it. It's hard to believe, but it's true.
Like, I'm sure you had to get shots. And then did they like stitches or
Yep.
Did they tear into the muscle or what? Like,
I have a scar.
Wow. Yeah. I don't want to see it. So before you get any ideas.
I'm going to show you the scar. I don't have shorts on.
That is crazy. That's a crazy story. Okay.
You have one?
Not like that, but yeah. So I grew up in a Southern Baptist, like pretty, traditional, standard Nashville, Tennessee Southern Baptist church. And so on Wednesday nights, and we went to everything. I mean, and now it's funny because as a parent, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I mean, I'm sure my parents were very passionate about all of the ministry oriented things, but also it's like, can we just have something like activities to do for our children?
Yeah. What every parent's
like,
asking.
I get it. So we were there, Wednesday nights, Sunday morning, Sunday nights, and anything else that was going on throughout the week. So this was Wednesday nights, and we had Wednesday night dinner in the fellowship hall. And then you could go, we had choir, kids choir. And then I can't remember which one was first. No. Yeah. Girls in Action was first. GAs.
Girls in Action.
Girls in Action. There was a song, Girls in Action, Girls in Action. That's all I remember. And you would learn about missionaries around the world. And anyway, this one year we had a teacher who was so sweet. And I think back and I feel really bad because she was volunteering to teach us crazy middle school girls. And anyway, she was really boring. And so we would skip her class, not tell our parents. We would hide under the stairs. And then after this happening, a couple weeks on the row where none of us would show up and she would be ready.
Be under the stairs playing.
Oh yeah. We would play house or whatever girls, middle school girls play. And so our parents found out because the teacher was like, have you guys been skipping? Are you still interested in this class? And our parents thought we were going, but we weren't. We were skipping church class. And then we would go, and that was the other thing. Then we would skip that hour and then go to kids choir because that was really fun.
Yeah.
So that was also confusing for the teacher. So that, I mean, my story is a 1 on the scale of 1 to 10 with your story being.
Oh, no. But that just struck a memory. So I only did this once because I got in bad trouble for it. But 3rd grade, my parents dropped me off for junior church, I think it was called. So, big people church, junior church, dropped me off. Somehow I didn't actually get into the classroom when they dropped me off. So they didn't check in, probably didn't have a name tag system. They probably wasn't very secure. But I left and the church was under construction on a new building. And I went out and played in the sand in the construction site the whole time, all of junior
Probably
church.
having the time of your life.
And lost track of time. And they went back to pick me up and I wasn't there. And they had to search all over, found me out there. And
did you get in big trouble?
Yeah, it was not a good thing at home.
Oh, man. Got in big trouble.
Got in big trouble.
Okay. Was that your next story?
That's my next story. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, this one is pretty good. So, like I just told you, grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. And so this is a story that I feel could only happen in Nashville. But my church was kind of in between this area called Brentwood and I guess downtown Nashville. And so next to our church was this big house. We literally called it the big house. And I don't remember, I think it was maybe when I was in late middle or early high school, it went up for sale. Turns out it was Tammy Wynette's house or one of her houses.
Before you used it?
Yeah. The whole time me growing up.
You didn't know it?
Didn't know it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I'm sure other people did, but I guess I just didn't care or whatever until we found out, this house is up for sale. It's Tammy Wynette's house. And she had actually passed. The rumor was that she had passed in the house.
Oh, that's a good rumor.
Yeah. And so anyway,
probably
our
under
church,
the stairway where you were.
Exactly. Our church bought it and turned it into our youth group house. So we called it the big house. So my whole high school experience was, and my high school was right across the street. So this was the perfect, coolest setup was high school and then the traditional church building and then the big house.
Yeah.
And we would have, Wednesday night pizza parties with youth group and it had this big kitchen. And so my dad taught, I can't remember what grade it was, but 9th grade boys Sunday school in the bathtub. She had this massive, the bathtub, Tim, was probably as big as our little studio area here, just the bathtub. And of course it was drained, there wasn't any water in it. And the 9th grade boys and my dad would teach it, would all sit in the bathtub together and do their Bible study lesson, which is so funny. So anyway, that's only a, youth group in Nashville, Tennessee story.
Did you guys have kind of your Girls in Action song? Did you have a song for a youth group?
We didn't, but there is that Christian song. Is it DC?
Big, big house.
Big, big house with lots and lots of room. A big, big table with lots and lots of food. Yeah. Oh, I could sing.
You have a good voice.
Oh, thank you.
I wasn't sure when you
Thespian
sang
of
the
the
Girls
Year.
in Action song if you had a good voice, but now I'm convinced.
I was setting the bar really low so that anything I sing after that sounds better.
Smart.
All right. That was fun, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you have some random stories from your youth group days, let us know. You can email us, right?
Yep.
Tim, LeadingSmart.com. And we would love to hear from you. Okay. As we close out today's episode, all about longevity, by the way. I had to remind myself, what were we talking about before we had our fun segment?
The long game.
The long game, longevity and ministry. You want to remind you that you can actually download the companion ebook to this season. Go to leadingsmart.com/podcast or leadingsmart.com/lessons. Download that ebook. We also want to highlight, we have partners that help make this podcast and everything we do at Leading Smart possible. And today we wanted to tell you about Generosity OS. And so Generosity OS helps with church giving, generosity, really embedding a culture of generosity into the discipleship strategy of your church. And then also capital campaigns, of course. But these are good friends of yours, Tim.
It makes sense to like highlight Generosity OS because we're talking about the long game.
Yeah.
I've known David Whiting for 51 years now.
He knew you when you had hair.
52 years now because I just had a birthday. He may have known me before I had hair because we were little.
Oh.
Don't remember.
Well, no, you definitely had hair when you were born.
Okay, forget
that. was weird.
Ixnay.
I just imagined a little baby Tim Stevens bald, and that was really cute in my head.
Anyway, David Whiting is one of the principals with Generosity OS, and an amazing. And the team at Generosity OS has cumulatively raised over $3 billion for churches. So it's an amazing, gifted, wise, experienced team.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have seen their work firsthand. Was actually just texting this morning with David Whiting, and it's just so cool to hear how, because they do this thing called the Next Level Generosity Report.
Discovery.
NLGD.
NLGD, yep.
I always have to remind myself what everything stands for.
Yep.
NLGD. And he was just telling me how regular sized churches, like we're not talking about mega churches here, just incremental, consistent changes that they've made to their giving moments, how that's really impacting consistent percent increase of givers. And it's just so cool and so exciting. All right, Tim, next episode, I get to interview Tim and his wonderful wife, his better half.
She's amazing.
Faith Stevens. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you on episode 3.